Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea target Brighton's Joao Pedro. What do we think of that headline? Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts. Industry insiders expect a busy summer in the striker market, don't we all? Whether you support Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Newcastle, West Ham, for various different degrees, you can make a case of number nines are hot commodities and everybody wants to sign one, people. But yeah, industry experts expect a busy summer in the striker market, and the Brazilian forward is of interest to three of the biggest clubs. I mean, Chelsea want every player that, has every individual that plays football that has two legs. Liverpool, I think they're kind of missing a number nine, and you don't know what's going to happen with Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz. Arsenal were crying out for someone, and the only thing I'd say with Joao Pedro, I like it, but some would say he's got that nasty streak. He got away with an elbow. He's versatile, can play up front, can play in a bunch of roles. No, always finds the back of the net against us, people. So I understand why there's a lot of interest in the former Watford man. And, he's a bit of a wonder kid once upon a time in Football Manager. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea are all showing interest in Brighton forward Joao Pedro ahead of a possible summer transfer. Now, various different degrees, people. Interest is very different from talking with his advisors, with Brighton, getting into negotiations about a fee. We all know players that are English or players that are English clubs come with a hefty price tag and a premium. Telegraph Sport understands that the three Premier League giants are among the admirers of Pedro, who has scored 30 goals in 70 games since joining Brighton from Watford for around 30 million. Can play in a bunch of positions. He could actually play behind the Gyökeres, for example. The three clubs are all looking to strengthen their front line ahead of next season, with industry insiders expecting a busy summer window for strikers. Pedro, 23, has established himself as one of the most exciting young forwards in the English game since his move to Watford from Fluminense in 2020. In his time in English football, the Brazilian international has shown that he can operate as a centre forward, number 10, or in wide positions. So you can see why his versatility would be of, I would say, to Chelsea anyways, but I would say it seems like Chelsea have a bunch of players that can play everywhere. I'd say for Arsenal and Liverpool, the versatility is probably more of an attraction. Liverpool are expected to be active in the market this summer. They're in talks with Wirtz, apparently, with Arnslot set to be backed with one of the club's biggest ever transfer budgets. They owe it to him, because for a new manager, he gave him a half-fit Chiesa. He went into the season, with three big players' contracts, and he didn't give anything. And, when you're at the top, you could go down, and FFG are a bit like the Cronkies in that they might say, well, we got rid of Klopp, we got Slot, he won a title, the squad's good, but we'll have to see, people. They owe it. But this is an Arsenal channel, people. As reported by Telegraph Sport early this month, a striker is among their priorities, especially with Darwin Núñez's Liverpool career almost certain to come to an end. Rightly or wrongly, it doesn't appear that Arnslot rates him. Arsenal are understood to be long-term admirers of Joao Pedro, and Telegraph Sports understands they've explored the possibility of signing him in previous seasons. So why didn't we? Arsenal are considering a number of attacking options at centre forward and left wing, with Sporting's Victor Gyökeres and Athletic Bilbao's Nico Williams among those of interest. Chelsea, meanwhile, also in the market for a striker and have a long-standing admiration for Pedro. Chelsea also have RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, in brackets, another striker of interest to Arsenal, and Ipswich's Liam Delap on their radar. Some reports say Liam Delap has chosen Man United. If Brighton are willing to let Pedro leave this summer, they are likely to demand a fee that far exceeds the 30 million they paid for him, rightly so. For Arsenal, I would still want an out-and-out number 9, but I'm all for Joao Pedro, man. The thought of Joao Pedro behind the forward or off the left or occupying up front, I'm all for it, man, but I just can't see it happening. And we spoke about several teams maybe wanting a striker. Ironically, this says Brighton have already invested in a new forward for next season. So, the Brightons, the Brentfords, they do a lot. And if, I would love us to shop in the Premier League. I'm not saying Semenyo will be my first choice, but he's a decent player that could, be of use to the traditional top 6 / the current top 6. And Mbuemo, I'm a massive fan of his. Wouldn't mind Visa, love Joao Pedro, and there's plenty of others, essentially, man. United, who are 17th, they're in the Europa League final, but Amad Diallo could be of use to the top 6 at the time. I had to, man. I'm a Man United fan for 90 minutes when they play Spurs, man, to be fair. But yeah, man, smash the like button. What do you make of that? Now, allegedly, transfer.com, not sure on the credibility, have said Arsenal would prioritize a move to sign Nico Nico Williams over Rodrygo, even though the Brazilian is inching increasingly closer to a summer exit from Real Madrid. Who would you prefer? Would you prefer Rodrygo? Would you prefer Nico Williams? I'm sure we'd love both. Some reports say his favored position is off the left. A few years ago, he gave an interview on one of the big publications and said it's in the 10. I mean, I'd love Rodrygo. When you hear rumors we've only got 100 million to spend, I know how transfers are staggered out. But are you going to be able to afford this off the backdrop of everything else that we need to do? In terms of outgoings, if we're going to spend, we have to get rid of people. Sevilla will not be buying Lokonga, though. Sevilla have practically decided that Sambi Lokonga will not stay at Sevilla next season. The Belgian will return to Arsenal. So there's even more work for Berta to do. In terms of new numbers, apparently Wanyeri will get the 22 shirt next season. Miles Lewis Skelly will keep 49. 49, 49. Lewis Skelly could become iconic. David Raya, who is currently number 22, will become our number 1 next season, people. Well, you know what I mean. He'll get the number 1 shirt. Real Madrid are now in direct contact with Bournemouth to sign Huijsen. Lawyers are at work to complete the operation. So Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea, another one bites the dust, and it seems like Real Madrid will be getting a centre half. Partey, who apparently were in talks to sign a new deal, is willing to reject lucrative offers from Saudi Arabia, with his preference to be to sign a new deal at Arsenal. The player hopes an agreement can be found and would ideally like the situation resolved before Arsenal's final game of the season, which is next week, people. You would have seen today Xavi Simons has decided to leave Leipzig, who have sacked a manager across the course of the season and have also, not qualified for the Champions League, which might give fuel to the fire if you're looking at Sesko or Xavi Simons. Romano said earlier today, decision has been made. He's ready to leave Leipzig this summer. Planned, confirmed, as reported in recent months. He's ready for a new chapter with top Premier League clubs and Bayern all attentive to his situation. Leipzig aware of the player's plans. So they must have known about that for a while. Arsenal and Liverpool are starting to believe they could sign Rodrygo this summer, with both clubs getting excited at the prospect. It's understood Rodrygo has 90% made up his mind to leave Real Madrid. Maybe Alonso could tempt him to stay. While Arsenal's interest in Victor Gyökeres is genuine, any potential deal is expected to be complex and drawn out. What does that mean? Does that mean the way we want to formalize a deal and the way Sporting would like it is different? Do we need Gyökeres to dig his heels in? Are Sporting going to delay because if you've got a striker, there's very few strikers that one club's on them. If your current club has Sesko, has Mbuemo, has Gyökeres, has this one, Joao Pedro, you want to provide a bidding war. If you decided to sell the player, you just want to sell to the highest bidder. Obviously, unless it's a direct rival and there's certain other asterisks, you want to sell to the highest bidder. Now, some reports say you won't get him unless you activate his release clause. Some obviously say he can go for as low as 60 million quid. Arsenal allegedly, if you believe John Cross, have been told they can sign Gyökeres for 60 million. With Sporting willing to do business this summer, Gyökeres would command a contract well in excess of 200 grand a week to make him one of the club's top earners. We only have 100 million to spend. Potential sales could increase this budget. What do you make of that? Do you believe it or not? Magalhaes has interest from Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, despite being one of Arsenal's priorities to extend the defender's contract. Martinelli also has Saudi Arabian interest. He could also be offered a fresh deal in North London. Juan Garcia divides opinion at Arsenal, as Mikel Arteta loves him, but Berta would prefer to allocate the funds elsewhere. The manager chased Garcia last summer and in January, but a move never materialized. So what does that mean, people? He's also been linked with Barcelona. We've heard rumors Arsenal want to give Kivior a new deal. Despite him, getting regular football, he's still determined to depart the club. So let's get a decent fee. Arsenal apparently maintain a strong interest in Bournemouth attacker Semenyo ahead of the summer window. Everyone's linked with everyone. Borussia Dortmund, Liverpool, and actually not said here, PSG are all looking at Ryan Cherky. I believe Arsenal should be getting involved in that. And as I said with Huijsen, apparently to Real Madrid, it's a done deal. Some say they've informed Bournemouth they'll pay his installments in free. They'll trigger his release clause and announce him soon. That does correlate with, Romano saying this is an important month at least for now, at the time of making this video, the soon-to-be Real Madrid defender, Bournemouth defender, wants his future sorted now. Can't begrudge him for not going Real Madrid. It would have been nice to see him at Arsenal, if I'm honest with you. So just in terms of depth and maybe if and when Saliba or Magalhaes depart. Some of you love Kudus. Personally, I think Arsenal fans need to let that one go. Apparently, Atletico Madrid have made initial contact over a potential move for the West Ham wideman. Sporting have an agreement in place with Gyökeres to let him leave for 70 to 75 million euros this summer and hope a bidding war could push that amount higher. However, that is unlikely with the player already grabbed emotion emotionally and even financially by Arsenal. Everybody's adding their own little 2 pence to it. So I guess we'll have to see exactly what happens. And we're still linked with Leroy Sané, owing to the fact that his contract is still running up at Bayern Munich. Arsenal been credited with an interest. Apparently, we've been given encouragement owing to the fact that one, his contract is running down, and two, he's switched agents. So we'll have to see what goes on, man.